How is it going, everyone? It is Sunday. Stream schedule will be out later. Dang, it's so much I want to talk about actually before I get into the meat of the video. Thank you so much for the support. We had a big time donation from Chris during that one stream, and we paid off that XPS, and that was just insane. The amount of support we got was insane. So the upcoming week, I had it planned to do like a series at every like $1,000 mark. We were going to do the comic book giveaways, sort of like we did with the last crowd fund, if you will. So now what's more than likely going to happen, I'll schedule it out, and it'll be one stream the upcoming week in which we'll do a series of a bunch of comic book giveaways during that particular stream. So if you pay attention on my community wall by Sunday, and today's the 24th, so by the end of the night, the stream schedule for the upcoming week will be out, and you will know the exact day that we are going to do that giveaway. So be on the lookout for that. Before we get, let's just get into it. So, and I didn't even set up this is what I get for trying to start a video in which I didn't actually have everything set up. So what I will do is just do this. Okay, so I've seen a series of people talking about this, like different forms of like media, access media, not necessarily quote unquote mainstream, but you know the access media types. Maybe mainstream in the sense of having a platform when it comes to movie reviews and so forth, or cultural reviews. And this person, Joanna Robinson, wrote, and this came out a couple of days ago, is releasing the Synder Cut of Justice League: A Victory for Toxic Fandoms. And she just goes through basically the history of how we got to this point. Started out as this big myth, and a lot of people were just completely advocating for it, and then they saw it kind of ramp up, and then it's being released on HBO Max. She kind of concludes it and brings it home and says, where is it at? Despite the good they have done in raising money for a worthy cause, it's hard to ignore the toxic side of this fandom, which has targeted and harassed critics who have dared to even tweet criticisms about Snyder's work. I've been told to kill myself on countless occasions by Twitter accounts. It's not funny, but you know what I'm at. I get told to kill myself every day. Twitter accounts with either Superman or Batman logos. When fandom becomes identity, every negative review seems like a personal attack. And look, I can sort of understand that conclusion in a sense, but how she got there is kind of odd, considering that there seems to be this push. Remember when I actually did a video right here. Remember this video that I did talking about when that person, the interviewer, there was an interviewer here,
because
right?
You're never going to be the exact person
that baited him into, and he used the phrase toxic fandoms. Like, some of these guys are just toxic. Now, let's be clear about who they're talking about here. They're talking about people who dare to, their fans. She even acknowledges it sort of in this element, as longtime DC fans. So there's people that have actually been fans, and they're either critical of the movie itself, or they're critical of, let's say, access media in terms of their approach. I did a whole entire stream dedicated to this. I've never thought that DC has gotten a fair shake when it comes to putting out their movies. I've done several videos talking about if DC put out a near perfect movie, it would not get the praise that maybe you'd feel that it's deserved. Or I would, in this sense. I feel like it's been unfairly criticized in terms of the comparison to Marvel. Now, I will say this. One of my criticisms of this was that they kind of sped the thing up when it comes to the DC universe, extended universe, when it comes to the movies. It seems as if they were trying to catch up to Marvel, okay? And by that, I'm meaning they were trying to get where Marvel was at, not really understanding that Marvel had more so a 10 hold on, let me see. Let me go here. Damn, where is it at? Oh, there it is. Oh, there it is. My bad. But yeah, they had like a 10-year buildup, right? A 10-year buildup of getting to the point to where the movies were as they were. Now, they were allowed to lay a lot of eggs in terms of some of the movies that they put out, definitely towards the latter half of that phase, Captain Marvel. But they did take their time in a sense. More so DC Extended Universe didn't. So that I'm critical of it. I'm not saying that DC ever put out any great movie, I'm not saying that DC is like without fault. Let's just say that. I've expressed my gripes with some of the movies in their universe. However, or the direction that they've gone. However, when it comes to some of the criticisms definitely that I've seen from Access Media, and I'm going to sort of prove that right now. Hold on just a second. Let me y'all know where I'm going with this. If you have seen my videos where I've talked about this. That's what I get up for not setting my stream deck, so not even cohesive. So the tomato meter, 56% is what they gave Man of Steel. What did they give Captain Marvel? 78. Look, as blunt as I can put it, you're on crack if you think that this movie, Captain Marvel, was better than Man of Steel. But that is sort of what I'm talking about when it comes to how definitely Access Media and how critic media, like mainstream critic media, treats DC in comparison to Marvel. Marvel is allowed a lot more leeway. I'm not saying that there aren't things that they've done better, but they're allowed a lot more leeway. But what you've seen happen, and we saw this, we also saw this with Sonic, where you had people that were upset, that were part of these groups, that the studios dared to cater to the fans. And this kind of is where I think the article completely misses the mark and seems to not understand what's going on here. Who they label as generally toxic or toxic fandom. I'm not saying there aren't some like fans that are like on another one. I'm not saying that those don't exist. But what they generally deem as toxic fandoms are people that are actually fans, right? And if it has an opinion that, if they have more of a collective opinion that dares to go against what they have deemed as acceptable, and the studios actually make a movie or even adjust a movie so that it caters to that group, that particular group, they have an issue with it and they call you toxic. That's more so what it is. I've been called this all the time, and I've just called it like what it was. You know, I think some of these depictions have been very inaccurate portrayals of the characters. And I think that they've been hijacked by a lot of people that don't really have any sort of stake in it in terms of, they're not actual comic book fans. They're just guys trying to advance their careers, advance their social preferences and so forth, and use the comic books characters to do that. So there's a lot of nonsense going on. People don't seem to have actual legitimate passion for the characters, that is. And they're the people that actually have been reading these books for years, said there's an issue here. Or that I know with Snyder, there's some people that feel like it would have been a much better movie if we had his version and his vision. And it was kind of, the rug was pulled out from under him. So a lot of people were like, this seems to do the characters more justice, the story more justice, the movie more justice. We want to see it. Release it. They denied its existence. Now we know that it exists. It has been confirmed. And some people are upset. Access Media. And I'm going to be straightforward with you. The problem is that you're seeing comic book studios, in terms of these depictions, in terms of these live action depictions of these characters that we've known and loved, not just with comic books, to be fair, again, Sonic and so forth as well, where they actually cater to the core demographic of people that want to support that. For whatever reason, we've gotten to the point to where that's a problem. I don't understand that. You call it toxic. Something's wrong with you. If you have an issue with this, whatever garbage that they gave you, no matter if it's a completely different version of the character, no matter if it made it for a movie that wasn't cohesive, you couldn't comprehend it. No matter what, if you criticize it, there's something wrong with you. And there the studios openly went one way and then go another, which means they specifically made an adjustment because of the fan response. They have an issue with this, and maybe it's because they can't particularly control the narrative. I don't know, but it's such an odd thing to think that there's something wrong with the fanatics in the event that they take issue with what was put out there, right, for the characters that they've known and loved. And then there the studios actually say, okay, that's our core demographic. We need to respond accordingly. Makes no sense. You do that pretty much that's just business 101. That's something that you do. I know we've kind of gotten away from that because, again, people think that, comic books, I remember you used to get called a loser for reading comic books back in the day. Now, all of a sudden, everybody's this big Marvel fan, some of these DC fans, because we're seeing these blockbuster live action depictions of these comic book characters. And you have people that were never really part of said culture. Now they are a part of it. And they want to get in on it. People that are actors, people that are actresses, people that are directors, people that are producers, writers, and so forth want to get in on it, even though they really didn't have a connection to these characters at all. And I think it's shown in some of the movies and some of the directions some of the movies have gone. But you've seen 2 times recently, which is something that I think should happen more often, where you had a core fan response. I'm not saying you can please everybody because you can't, but you had a core fan response. Your core demographic, people that, not the people that are on Instagram and Twitter taking pictures, and not them. I'm talking about people that are actually going to be there for the long haul, actually willing to spend money on your product. For whatever reason, it's something wrong with the studio for making an adjustment to cater to that demographic, not those outliers who, again, take Instagram pictures and stuff, cosplay and stuff like that. What I want to dead is this nonsensical narrative that studios making adjustments for their core fan base, for their core, like their actual demographic. I get when it comes to live action depictions of comic books, you have to have a lot of normies that watch it in order for your film to be successful. But you can respect and have a cohesive, narrative and good story and a respect of these characters. You can do all of that and without sacrificing sort of you can do all of that while also appealing to these normies, right? I've always held that opinion. In a lot of cases, normies will eat it up anyway. You could have an accurate, right out of the comic book depiction of a storyline or an arc, and the fans would, the Instagram cosplayer, those cats would eat it up anyway, right? Doesn't matter. That's where we're at now. But nonetheless, I just want to dead this silly narrative that they're catering to toxic fans, or it's this victory for toxic fans. In the event that the studios, all that's going on, in the event that studios actually make an adjustment based upon the response of the people that actually are willing to spend money on your product. That's what's going on here. Like, I understand that these people that they think that, well, now it's theirs. These cultures that they were generally never a part of, but now they think it's theirs because it's crossed over into Hollywood, right? So how dare someone just sit up here and be like, let's cater to the fans, and they have an issue with it. Well, why would you cater to the toxic fandoms? Like, no, idiot. What they're doing is simply responding to the market, and the market wanted something, and the market got something. That's all it is. That's all it is. You do that in pretty much every business. you don't sit up here and just try to insult your fan base, right? This is a money-making opportunity. People wanted this cut of the film. They got that cut of the film. They would have been on crack. Definitely in this age, they would have been silly not to ever put that out if it existed, in which we confirmed that it did. But the idea that them actually responding accordingly to what their core demographic wants is the issue here, that Access is flying over Access Media's head because they think they inherit the right to the characters, or the right to the stories, the right to the brand, and so forth. So we have to respond how they respond. And in the event it's on the opposite end, and the studio says, you know what, I get what y'all were saying, Access Media, I understand that, but we have a core fan base that we're going to make our adjustments for. I hope that studios actually do this, and you see now everybody's all stoked and hyped up, and no matter how good or bad this ends up coming out, you see that there's something to be said for a studio that's willing to actually go and correct a mistake that they made. Now, you can argue that the mistake should have never been made. That's different conversation. However, it's something to be said that they actually make the adjustment. That's what it's about, and it shows us that you actually give a crap, and that's what consumers want. It has nothing to do with this toxic fandom.